Governor Spencer Cox is making the first donation to the statewide Feed Utah food drive.
So the governor made the first donation this morning to the Feed Utah food drive.
We live in such a generous state, and I think that there's a lot of people around that want to be helpful.
You can help fight food insecurity by doing something as simple as leaving grocery items outside your front doors on Saturday morning.
We pay tithing, as the Savior taught, by bringing the tithes into the storehouse. We do this by paying our tithing to our bishop or branch president. We do not pay tithing by contributing to our favorite charities. The contributions we should make to charities come from our own funds, not from the tithes we are commanded to pay to the storehouse of the Lord. Tithe paying is evidence that we accept the law of sacrifice. It also prepares us for the law of consecration and the other higher laws of the celestial kingdom. Some time ago, I was speaking to a meeting of church leaders in a country outside of North America. As I spoke about tithing, I found myself saying something I had not intended to say. I told them the Lord was grieved that only a small fraction of the members in their nations relied on the Lord's promises and paid a full tithing. I warned that the Lord would withhold material and spiritual blessings when His covenant children were not keeping this vital commandment. I hope those leaders taught that principle to the members of the states and districts in their countries. The law of tithing and the promise of blessings to those who live it apply to the people of the Lord in every nation. I hope our members will qualify for the blessings of the Lord by paying a full tithing.
There are critics who say this sounds an awful lot like an investment bank and they're not paying taxes.
It's not an investment bank, it's the church's treasury.
You're getting a lot of heat for people telling you how to spend the money of the church. How do you think about that, or how can others really understand the scale of this?
Let me address two things. We have four overarching responsibilities. The mission of the church is to help people learn about and live the teachings of Jesus Christ, to share that message with the world, to strengthen and unite families, and to care for the poor and the needy.
The Lord wants all His children to partake of the eternal blessings available in His temple. He has directed what each person must do to qualify to enter His holy house. All requirements to enter the temple relate to personal holiness. To assess that readiness, each person who wants to enjoy the blessings of the temple will have two interviews. First, with a bishop, bishopric counselor, or branch president. Second, with a stake or mission president or one of his counselors. In those interviews, several questions will be asked. Some of those questions have recently been edited for clarity. I would like to review them for you now. Are you a full tithe payer? To develop enduring faith and enduring commitment to be a full tithe payer is essential. Initially, it takes faith to tithe. Then the tithe payer develops more faith to the point that tithing becomes a precious privilege. Tithing is an ancient law from God. He made a promise to His children that He would open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Not only that, tithing will keep your name enrolled among the people of God and protect you in the day of vengeance and burning.
One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of His coming.
The mandate given by the First Presidency and the presiding bishopric is to only focus on financial growth. EPA employees are told that the money will be used after the second coming of Jesus Christ or during Armageddon right before He would come again.
For the first time, we have an idea now of how much the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints big investment fund performed over the course of a year.
That fund is called Ensign Peak Advisors, and Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle found the public document showing how many billions of dollars it gained in 2020.
Over the last year, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been more forthcoming about how it's investing tithing money. This latest filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission shows that despite the economic downturn of the pandemic, the church's big investment fund made money. This filing with the SEC shows the holdings of Ensign Peak Advisors at the end of 2020. When added all up, it shows the fund gained more than $6 billion in one of the most difficult financial years in American history.
$138 storehouses for 31,000 wards. Can you say not true, boys and girls? And so, yeah, I forgot to tell you at the beginning of this video, as I meant to last couple of days. Oops. The problems of not having a script is that when I was living in West Valley City, I was in the neighborhood watch, and one of the Mormon neighbors pulled me aside once and talked about how the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints held a meeting for the bishop's storehouses and said that they do not have enough if there were to be an emergency. Just in the state of Utah alone. If there was a massive earthquake, massive power outage, fire that rips through the valley, the church could not handle it with just the storehouses that they have here in the valley. Which that's the majority of the 138. They are incapable of being prepared for the 7 years of famine, of prophecy for the latter days. They failed. This is not a church of inspiration. This is not a church of prophets. This is not a church of seers. This is the great and abominable church. And the stats alone are enough to prove it. That's the fruit. They failed the one simple Bible test for a false prophet. They are false, not true. Bad prophet, bad prophet. And so, all of this talk about hoarding money for the latter days, that it's the Lord's treasury, that it's for Zion, no, they're building it for the kingdom. Zion is not the kingdom. Zion is not the buildings. Zion is not the administration. Zion is the people. Section 119 is abominable. And so, I shouldn't even have to read this. Everybody should know it. He commandeth that there shall be no priestcrafts. For behold, priestcrafts are that men preach and set themselves up for a light unto the world, that they may get gain and praise of the world. But they seek not the welfare of Zion. If you labor for money, you shall perish. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, by hoarding money, is seeking to labor for money. And for that, it'll be their ruin. Because when you have poor, the poor kind of need to survive. And there is a breaking point. And then all of a sudden you have Les Miserables singing at Temple Square. I think that should be the theme song. Miserables. Never did get to see that one in New York. Saw Phantom twice and Fiddler on the Roof. See, the one companion I had, I'd already seen Phantom once, and he asked, have you seen Phantom? And I said, yeah, I loved it. And he said, oh man, I haven't seen Phantom, but I really wanted to see Les Miserables. Or, no, he'd seen Les Miserables, but he hadn't seen Phantom. That's what it was. Oh my God. I said, I don't mind seeing it again. And I made him happy. Phantom is awesome. So yeah, I saw Fiddler with Tevye. It was awesome. L'chaim to life. So yeah. Tradition. Yeah, good times. It is not a complicated thing. And so for Cox, knowing of the danger that is coming to Utah, thinks that he's going to prepare by forcing Utahns who already pay tithing to the church, who are already getting fired and are needing this money of food. And the church isn't prepared. And so Cox thinks he can do a deathbed repentance preparation. We are looking at a major catastrophe for the state of Utah, when the church should have been the forefront example to the whole world. With all of the wards just here in Utah alone, each one supposed to have a bishop's storehouse, so that while people do have work and do contribute tithing to the storehouse, not tithing for Zion, for the prostitution price of your wives or your husbands, if you violate the family proclamation at work, women, naughty girl. You're making men look bad. Stop it. Men need to feel superior, not emasculated. I need to watch Ever After again. Drew Barrymore. Thomas More. And so, it is Ever After, right? Because it's the Cinderella tale, the real Cinderella tale. But anyway, I mean, dear God, this has catastrophe written all over it. And I worry of the trigger that will set it all off as a powder keg. Dear God, but I mean, that's just humiliating for him. As a Mormon, being ordered by the church to do the church's will as governor for Utah. And he is there trying to drum up donations for the food, the food store. What is it called? The food pantry. Dear God. Utah Food Bank. Oh my hell. It is just humiliating to the church, to him as the governor of Utah, as he is exposing that he knows what's coming, and he thinks he's going to get you to do it and then blame you if you don't give enough. It's just going to be disastrous. And I should probably put this segment about Cox at the beginning and then have you listen to the rest of the stuff that you'll fall asleep on. Scriptures. I want to be saved in ignorance. I don't want to live a higher law. I want the celestial kingdom. I want my privates chopped off or scooped out because I want to be bad. You didn't know that, right? Only the celestial kingdom you get to keep them. Yeah, that's where babies come from. If you're not going to have babies, you don't need them. Never mind. Hey, can I get in through deathbed repentance? No, get out. Humiliations galore. Okay, we're done. Chad, this one good sell. The third video for the day, which is going to be about the church neglecting the poor. And how the head of the church is supposed to be chosen. We can technically wait on that one until there's a death and thus a transfer of authority. To remind Mormons, remind Oaks. So, regardless, I mean, if I do it early, nobody will understand that it's prophecy. And if I do it after, everybody won't assume that I had talked about it previously and before it happened to call it prophecy. Mormons are rising up as denialists to defend the church and their faith bubbles. 2 today for the news, worldwide news of the Philippine president getting arrested by the ICC, and 2 Mormons. Fake news. They don't even believe the church news. I showed church news, Cook, and they think it's fake, that it's an AI picture or something. YouTube demands I answer if there are AI on my video. They don't allow me to say, no, I never use AI. This is not an AI channel. It's never been an AI channel. It has never been for little kids. Because we're talking about adult stuff, like how the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a worldwide criminal terrorist organization seeking to coup the government of the United States. We don't want little kids watching this channel. This is for adults who know how to read and comprehend what they read, that the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith both said were Jewish, not Christian. So no little kids who are illiterate and don't comprehend what they read. So, we've got a bunch of videos to list out for you in the beginning here. But first, we got to go over the scriptures, because apparently Mormons don't bother to read their scriptures anymore, because they aren't able to catch that the church is going against the scriptures, which is blatantly obvious. And so the first one is Joseph of Egypt. You know, he's locked up in prison for 6 years for filing a petition for redress of grievances, and the great and abominable Pharaoh locked him up for 6 years of his life. And his father tried to accuse him of rape, but that wasn't the reason why he was in prison. And so he gives some prophecies to some other guys locked up from their dreams, and has a dream himself about meeting President Gordon B. Hinckley, who came to a Rick's College suit and tie and dress event without tickets. He thought he could just get in. And so he asked Joseph of Egypt if he has tickets to get in. And he says, yeah, sure, have in mind. And so to show his gratitude, President Gordon B. Hinckley gives Joseph of Egypt his key card to his office with the number 77 on it. So they, Marjorie and Gordon, go in and enjoy the show. And Joseph of Egypt keeps on walking to the escalator, or the elevator. And they had those back in Egypt. And he takes it all the way down to the bottom, where the church security office was, behind bulletproof glass, and they're all at their little computer stations spying on people. And the one security guard comes out, and Joseph of Egypt shows him the key card. The security guard takes it, scans it, and punches in a code, and the bulletproof glass door opens, and he's allowed into the administration building. And Joseph of Egypt goes down the left side first and realizes, oops, that's the wrong direction. So he goes back around the other side, and the security guard is heard saying, you've got 5 minutes. And so he walks down the right side. He sees room number 88 and sees that it's just stacked. Shelves, desks, tables, with papers all piled up. And he wants to go inside, see what all the papers have to say. Little did he know he'd be writing those for the 6 years. And then he keeps on going as he's told 5 seconds. And room number 77 He goes inside, it's empty. Nothing on any of the shelves or tables or desks, except for a Post-it note and a pen or pencil. And goes and writes, "Thank you." So then he gets out of prison because the butler, the baker, died. The butler remained, right? Because the crows are pecking at the food on the baker's head, right? You know, he's baking a cake for an LGBTQ couple. The Church of Jesus Christ ordered him not to, and so he had to die. And I'm assuming you know about the California and Colorado baker cases, that the church interfered with both of those cases as a friend of the courts to threaten the judge. And so Pharaoh has this dream, and he has no clue how to interpret dreams as Pharaoh. You know, the Horus name with the two eyes of Horus for seer, and he can't figure it out. He can't interpret his dream. And so he calls all of his priests, and they obviously can't do anything. They're worthless. 12 high priests can't do nothing. Yet they too are called seers. And so the butler says, "Oh, yeah, right, I forgot. There's a guy who's been locked up in prison for 6 years of his life for filing a petition for redress of grievances with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He interprets dreams. I'm sure he can help you." So, okay, fine, he can come out of prison, and I'll meet him at the Supersmiths downtown and get angry at him, and then meet him at the Salt Lake Temple several times and get angry at him then too. So he's brought before Pharaoh. It's exactly, precisely as it stands in our Old Testament. Not fake news whatsoever. It's all real. Literal history, which is the real fake news, by the way. God, dumbass, denialist. And so if you understand the learning of the Jews, you understand what I'm doing. So, despite comedy ensuing. And so he tells Joseph of Egypt his dream and says, "Oh, yeah, okay, you're going to have 7 years of plenty, and then you're going to have 7 years of famine. So I recommend that you build storehouses for the surplus food, so that when the 7 years happen, you'll still have food during those 7 years, not 1 year's supply of food." It's just unbelievable how the Bible warned us better than the living prophets of Jesus, and knew how to prepare better to warn us of the latter days better than the living prophets of Jesus. And these living prophets of Jesus know this story, knew that it's 7 years of us food storage. Not 1, 7. They knew. They've had 200 years to prepare because they're plotting all of this. They knew. Dear hell. And so, yeah, he then becomes Pharaoh of Egypt to rule and reign on the house of Israel forever in Zion. So you do understand that the 7 days of creation, the 7th day is the millennial reign of the 7th year. No? Nobody No? Okay, whatever. You thought it was an actual day, did you? You never understood why he's the Lord of the Sabbath? Okay. I guess that will blame the living prophets of Jesus for not giving you that answer. And so then Malachi, will a man rob God? Yes, if they're the living prophet of Jesus. Okay, where are we? Start for that one. 8. Will a false prophet rob God? Yes, he has robbed me. But you say, we have given of him our substance. Wherein has he robbed thee? In tithes and all the other donations that are not tithes. Because we've got that clip to make sure you get understood very clearly. Judge Shelby, who still has yet to render a verdict, which is plain, pure, and precious and obvious. And he won't do it because he knows his life is in danger if he does make the right choice. Ye are cursed with a curse, for he has robbed me, even this whole church. Bring ye all the tithes into the Zion storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open up unto you the windows of heaven. Yep, for the lunar eclipse of Purim, we got rain. Awesome. Pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Elijah does it again. Which that also means, because he knows the Hebrew and he wrote it for the thing and the thing and the thing and the thing and is that he knows that the words in a Hebrew name have meaning, and that you can't put another word that isn't in the word already. He knows. He knew before he got up at the pulpit of conference and botched Israel. He knows, and he still did it wrong. Unbelievable. And Mormons just let it go. Living prophet of Jesus, here's our substance. Doing character voices really takes its toll on my esophagus. I can't do animal anymore. And Ernie, therefore, is also wounded. Kermit the Frog. Just a nightmare now. Is that what happens when you get too old? Or is it when your voice... Well, I was able to do it for into my 30s. It's time to change. You've got to rearrange. Pretty much. When they did a solo album. Alrighty? So the church somehow got it into their heads to create Section 119. Despite Joseph Smith repeatedly, oh dear God. See, verse 23 of section 64. This is quoting from Malachi. And when you understand Malachi is for Zion, verse 22, and after that day I, the Lord, will not hold any guilty that shall go with an open heart up to the land of Zion. For I, the Lord, require the hearts of the children of men. So it's very clear this is the latter days for Zion. And yet, behold, now it is called today until the coming of the Son of Man, not the Son of Elohim. And also, he's mocking Joseph. The King Follett sermon, where Elohim has to be plural all the way through. He's mocking Joseph. That's the death penalty instantly for him. So many things wrong with that. And verily it is a day of sacrifice. Barbecue. Not sacrifice. And a day of tithing for my people. In Zion. The storehouse. In Zion. The economy. In Zion. For he that is tithed in Zion shall not be in the world, and therefore not burned at the coming, because he's a mortal son of man. See, the capitalism, or the capitalizing, not capitalism, is an English thing that was done to the original. Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, we can check the Greek in Matthew to see if they use the uppercase for Son of Man. We're on the alert for a shutdown of the video, freezing of the camera. Did it that one little time, and then I was able to do an hour-long video. So I guess he was just letting me know he's still spying on me illegally. Matthew 24. Okay, which verse do we have? Son of Man. Have Son of Man? False prophets. Seriously? Is it only a King James version? This is the King James version. You should have Son of Man all over the place. There it is, finally. Son is capitalized, but not man in verse 30. Okay, so let's change it to Mignet, and go down to 30, and nope, and say they have man, anthropo, but son, yeah, it's not capitalized. So that is an English translation thing that they did there. It is just a regular Son of Man, human, mortal, you know, the Jewish Christ. Not Trinity or non-Trinitarian. For he that is tithed shall not be burned, because they're in Zion. Peace, safety, refuge. And those who are not in Zion are going to have to take up the sword to defend their lives. They're the ones that are going to be burned. You're burnt. For after today cometh the burning. And so Joseph Smith in the second vision tells us, from he who is from the crossroads of the Wagoneer sun god at noonday, who appeared to him in his bedside, wearing the white shirt. Notice what shirt I was wearing the other day? Anybody? That was just a coincidence. I was inspired to do the video of that, and that was just the case. That's the inspirational associative memory. And so yeah, He will not spare any that remain in Babylon. What is Babylon, Bruce? You didn't decode this. He's talking about a religion. What religion is it, Bruce? Bruce R. McConkie? What religion? All right. And so, yeah, that's Gordon B. Hinckley uses that for the clip that I have where he says tithing is fire insurance, and if you don't pay, you're going to be burned. They're talking about Section 119. They are not talking about what Joseph Smith told you to do. And so, let's see, needs and wants. And so, yeah, it comes from the law of Deuteronomy in 15:8, before you get to 15:18 or 18:15. Oops. But yeah, it's before that, but it's all the same thing. This is the law of the Jews. That's why Joseph Smith is doing it. So then you've got it in the Book of Mormon, temporally and spiritually, according to their needs and their wants. But 42 was the big one that I did a video last week, wasn't it? Or was it sooner than that? Or was it later than that? It wasn't too long ago. So let's do 51 this time around, because 42 we'll just read from it. Let's see. Every man should be made accountable as a steward over his own property, or that which he has received by consecration, as much as is sufficient for himself and family. This is Zion we're talking about here, even though Joseph Smith is using it as his economy back then too. And so no, he did not use Section 119. Duh, it's right here in his own scriptures. And so, if there shall be properties in the hands of the church or any individuals of it, more than is necessary for their support after this first consecration, which is a residue to be consecrated unto the bishop, it shall be kept to administer to those who have not from time to time, that every man who has need may be amply supplied and receive according to his wants. Needs, wants, storehouses. Therefore the residue shall be kept in my storehouse, to administer to the poor and the needy, as shall be appointed by the high council of the church, and the bishop and his council. This is not complicated. It's all right here in scriptures, Mormons. This is what is supposed to be obeyed by the so-called leaders. And then instead, Brigham Young put in Section 119 after assassinating Joseph Smith. So let's see. '51 has quite a number of stuff here in regards to this. So maybe this should be Section 51's video for you. So then we'll briefly cover 70, verse 7. Nevertheless, inasmuch as they receive more than is needful for their necessities and their wants, it shall be given into my storehouse. And the benefits shall be consecrated unto the inhabitants of Zion. This is the economy that I've been going over with you, and since more frequently since last year, the end of last year. And unto their generations, inasmuch as they become heirs according to the laws of the kingdom. Love, give agency. Give other people their agency, and they are to give you yours. You are not supposed to take away agency of others. You have your own stewardship to deal with. You give others their agency. Quit complaining about how they're a sinner. Leave them alone. They are their own stewards. No idol worship in Zion. It is not allowed. No hatred in Zion. You have to be the pure in heart to get in. There are people who keep getting themselves disqualified from going to Zion with their hate comments, their death threats, their denialisms, their thumbs down. They don't want Zion. I'm not going to force them. I am giving them their agency, and I expect them to give me mine. And they won't. And so they will not be going to Zion. And if they do, they'll be kicked out. But they can't stand it. They want to be evil. So fine, stay, get burned. And then 82, verse 17, you are to be equal, or in other words, you are to have equal claims on the properties for the benefit of managing the concerns of your stewardship, every man according to his wants and his needs. And so people's needs and wants are different than another people's needs and wants. And that's how you're equal. It's not, oh, here's 2 gallons of milk for the week or the month, or depending on how long it lasts. I guess it only lasts for 2 to 3 weeks, doesn't it? And then it's usually a week after the expiration date that you can use the milk for, before it starts to smell and then it starts to turn colors. So not everybody wants that amount of milk. Some only need a little bit of milk to get by for the time period. Others need more because they have larger families and whatever. Eggs, for example. Not everybody has eggs on a regular daily basis. But yeah, it can be. It depends on your needs and your wants. Yeah, we're going to have free-range chicken. In Zion, part of the sacrifice. All right, so let's get to 50. 51. Now they're talking to Edward Partridge, who's the bishop, and stay away from section 117. I can't believe they dared to create that document and post it with section 85. Dear God. And so, as the bishop, he is to appoint unto this people their portions of needs and wants, every man equal according to his family, according to his circumstances and his wants and needs. Is that too complicated? Do I need to speak slowly? Dear God. And so, yeah, there's a writing involved. We have to know what you use, and there has to be a listing of what is taken from the storehouse, so that we know when to replenish the items that are in there. If we just shove stuff in and then people ask for stuff, and then you have people trying to search to find out where they are, if they've got it, no, that's chaos. It has to be organized so that when a person calls in, or however we'll have it set up, puts in their order for their needs and wants, they will know, yeah, this person lives in Zion. They're not trying to sneak in to pass by the angels who stand as sentinels. And so, yeah, they'll place their order. And then there needs to be a stewardship over this. You can't just say, I want 1,000 boxes of baby oil for a party. We're celebrating P. Diddy getting out of prison. Nobody needs that much. Nobody wants that much, right? Unless you're doing something criminal. And so no, there is obviously, if you let the storehouse know it's for a party, then that's perfectly fine, because it'll be well aware of it. That's your stewardship. You're making sure that you're getting stuff for the party, that you're not trying to store stuff and hoard stuff and keep other people from having stuff because you have it all. And you're not even using it, you're not even wanting it, you're just hoarding it. That will not be allowed. You have no interest in Zion if that's the case. And so yeah, after the party is done and you don't need any of this stuff and you can't use it anymore because the party's done and over with, you put it back into the storehouse. Unless it's perishable and it's going to, it's, yeah. There are all kinds of examples to go through, and it's not complicated. What do you need? Then what do you want? And what you want technically has to do with stuff that you can put into the storehouse, because it doesn't produce magically out of nothing. You as a Zion person, resident, again, give people their agency, and part of giving agency is providing for their property. And so you contribute, as others will do for you. And obviously you don't do everything: food, clothing, shelter, communications, electricity, all that stuff. No. What are you capable of doing? Are you an 8-cow person? Are you a 5-talent person? A 3-talent or 1? Doesn't matter. And obviously, if you're a person who does not qualify to be required to give, because you have to be given, you're disabled, you're elderly, you're mothers, single mothers, which would be tragic to have. I was in the Bronx branch on my mission. They had to split it into 2 relief societies because it was so massive. Just the single women in the Bronx branch, before they split it into 2 branches after I left, and then split it into 2 missions after that. Just so many single women in this world. It's just heartbreaking. And so yes, I do fear of what will be the population of Zion. So yeah, after doing the video this morning, I'm preparing for the happy dance. But there will be consequences. And so I already was having thoughts this morning of a little girl in Zion who dropped her food and she was crying, and I made sure to get it's just going to break my heart, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Where were we? Let's distract me. Elijah, how could he botch that? Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So, yeah, there's going to be a grocery list. We'll call it a grocery list, shopping list, for what you want from the storehouse and what is taken out of the storehouse so that it can be constantly supplied when it runs low. Not when it runs out, when it runs low, so that we can keep it circulating. And we'll have robotic, automated technologies to mass produce, to make sure that it gets quickly replenished and fully stocked, so that it will never be low. And ocular cavities are leaking. That was the best line from 7 of 9. And so this is what it's talking about here, right? An inheritance in the church until he transgresses. Until you're expecting everybody to transgress. So when are you planning to transgress? Okay, 3 months from now. All right, we'll put it on the calendar. And is not accounted worthy by the voice of the church, according to the laws and covenants of the church, to belong to the church. Yeah, it's very clear. The laws will be a constitutional republic, just like King Mosiah did. See, Joseph had to set up a whole administration system thing going on. So that's what he's talking about there. But in Zion, no. You are all independent agent servants, or stewards. Servants. You are responsible for your own actions in your own life. And so don't take away the agency of your kids. That doesn't teach them correctly. Don't take away the agency of your spouse. Give agency. And so, real simple thing. And so, yeah, you can have collections. Collections are not hoarding. But don't try to call hoarding a collection. You're not fooling me. Baby oil, whatever. You're not. That's not a collection of baby oil. Oh my God, how embarrassing for him. I mean, seriously, dear God. You know, we just got over Jack Sparrow and his wife who pooped in the bed. And now, baby oil for orgy parties. Oh, dear God. All right. So, he shall not have power to claim the portion. So, yeah, that only is for people who get kicked out. You don't get to claim stuff to take with you. No. You chose to come. You chose to follow the law to give people agency, to love, not take it away. You took it away in violation. It's a simple law. It is not complicated. There is no gray area. Don't try to pull that stunt. You tried to destroy the storehouse of Zion. You're out. You don't get anything. You lost your inheritance. You know, go be king of the hill in the world. Survival of the fittest. That's what you want to live. Get out. Which he has consecrated unto the bishop for the poor and the needy of my church, for Zion. And there is no poor in Zion. There is no rich in Zion. Everybody gets what they need and want. So technically, according to your understanding of rich, you're rich. because you get everything you need, everything you want. Real simple. All prosper under Zion. And as everybody is giving to the storehouse, the more prosperous it'll become. With more people, the more prosperous. It's just an incredible economic system that I can't believe nobody else has figured this. That was all the papers that I did in the Joseph of Egypt did for the 6 years. Designing all of it. And let's see. The money which is left unto this people, let there be an agent appointed unto this people to take the money to provide food and raiment according to the wants of the people and the needs. And so, yeah, that's a Joseph Smith era thing. That it's the storehouse. No money in Zion. We don't need money anymore. We need it to take of the materials of the world to build Zion and get it set up. But once it's set up, we no longer need money. Any extra money we have, give it back to the world. There you go. We're donating this. We don't need it anymore. We have everything to have Zion be self-sufficient and self-sustaining for the rest of eternity. As long as people follow the law of providing for the storehouse to give agency to other people. Real simple. So any Lucifers are not allowed. And we'll deal honestly. And so yeah, this is all behavioral stuff. I already went over that with you. Okay, now we're getting into more details. Let the bishop appoint a storehouse unto this church. And so Brigham Young didn't even bother with a storehouse. It was the tithing tax thing. But as he spread Mormons out, they should have had a storehouse also. He knew this because of Noel K. Whitney and Adam on Diamond from section 117. And yet, he refused to do it for his Zion. And so it's just horrifying that in the 1900s, you have George Albert Smith, who's assigned over the welfare committee, but they aren't building a storehouse yet. They never thought to follow the scriptures. And so Welfare Square only came after, in response to the Great Depression. This church cannot be true if they aren't even capable of knowing what the scriptures say to do to be prepared. And so then they build it, and then, oh, see how great we are? How inspiring. Hey, Mr. President, check this out. Yeah, so I read it in the Bible. I mean, seriously. The church literally plays people for dumb. Every single ward has a bishop. Every single ward, therefore, should have a storehouse. It doesn't. The number of actual storehouses, I did that weeks and months ago, so I don't remember the number. 138 bishop storehouses in Wikipedia, assuming that it's been updated. As of 2010, there are 138 bishop storehouses in operation. So yeah, I'm not hearing of them building them as fast as they are temples. Another clue that the church ain't true, by the way. Dear God. This is just not complicated. And so how many LDS church wards are there? Stats for 2022. Here's statistical report for 2023 from the church. Wards and branches. Oh my God. Oh my God. You're not going to do it, are you? Oh my God. Okay, fine. We'll do this then. Oh God. I just cringe. This church is run so incompetently. It is just pathetic. There you go. Took you long enough. We should still do a download of this anyway. $138 storehouses for 31,000 wards. Can you say not true, boys and girls?